The founding father of the studies of force and motion was Sir Isaac Newton. In addition to writing the law of universal gravitation, he also wrote 3 laws which describe how force relates to motion and that allow you to predict how any application of force will affect the state of motion of an object. His 3 laws of motion basically allow us to understand why everything in the universe moves the way it does. First law of motion, also called the law of inertia, says that an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion remains in motion at a constant speed and in a straight line, unless acted on by an unbalanced force. Basically, an object won't accelerate in any way unless a force makes it. This is also called the law of inertia because it describes an object's resistance to a change in its state of motion, which is the definition of inertia. This law explains why you jerk forwards in the car when it stops at a stoplight. The car stopped, but your body continued forward until the seatbelt exerted force on you and made you stop. This law also explains why you can leave skid marks with your bike. When you try to stop, the bike and your body resist the change to their state of motion and continue forward for a bit after you start the braking, leaving that trail of rubber behind you. In the picture, the cars need to use their brakes and exert frictional force to make themselves change direction. If they don't exert enough force, they don't turn. The car resists changing its state of motion. Newton's second law of motion explains how much force is needed to make an object accelerate and how much an object will accelerate if it receives a certain amount of force. It says that the acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the amount of force applied. So the more mass an object has, the more force is needed to make it accelerate, and the more force that is applied, the more it will accelerate. Remember, acceleration could mean speeding up, slowing down, or turning. So any change to motion requires force. The law is summarized by the following equation: F equals ma. So force equals mass times acceleration. Third law describes what happens when one object exerts a force on another. It says that whenever one object exerts a force on a second object, the second object exerts an equal and opposite force back on the first. If you jump off something high, it hurts because the ground hits you as hard as you hit it. When you want to jump, you push down the ground as hard as you can. You go up because the ground pushes you back. If you stub your toe, walk into a door, fall down the stairs, or bang your knee, it hurts because the other object exerts a force back onto you. A rocket ejects and pushes gases down with immense force. The gases push back up on the rocket with the same force, launching it into the air. This is how rockets work. These pairs of forces are called action forces and reaction forces. The force exerted by the first object is called the action force, and the force exerted by the second object back on the first object is called the reaction force. When you jump, the action force is you pushing down on the ground. The reaction force is the ground pushing back up on you.